don't know exactly. I haven't seen the article itself, but
yeah, we were there when solder was just coming to power. Yeah. Nobody liked him, and nobody paid attention to him. His magazines were stacked up. Nobody took his magazines, and then the American press. I mean, excuse me, the American Army came in and destroyed his printing press and made him a hero.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, ever since then. Well, another thing about Fallujah too is that in Fallujah they put big X's on the doors. The Army did. They said, you know, how many people were in the house, how many people were sick, how many people were killed, and so when they went down to New Orleans right after Katrina,
they did the same thing.
There were X's on the doors, and it was just very, very haunting. And no exaggeration, these people literally came from Baghdad, and they were so happy to be doing some good
the National
out
Guard
there.
For their own people, yeah.
Yeah, the National. I meant
the Blackwater people came too from.
They sure did. I'll tell you, they really got away with it.
Yeah. So anyway, we should, without going much further, drop the name of your book. What is the day the empire fell?
The day. Which day is that? Let me mark my calendar.
That's the title of the book.
The title of the book is The Day the Empire Fell, because all of us are so tired, and it doesn't seem like the empire is ever going to fall. And it talks about, you know, my family during the 50s, and my grandmother and my father. And it talks about Vietnam and globalization, and my time in Baghdad, and my time in Iraq, and
New Orleans.
The time in New Orleans when we went down to New Orleans right after Katrina, and got into the forbidden zone because we had a press pass from Kinko's. And so the book can be ordered by going to our website, notowar.com, NOTOWAR.com. And it's a great book. It's comedic, because my first book was so serious someone should have shot me. And it's a very, very readable book, and the adventures are very compelling.
Okay. Reviewing yourself. It's wonderful to be able to do that, isn't it?
And very compelling. The grammar is
fact checked. Okay. We could go in a lot of different directions. Maybe we should go back to some more about your visit there. Do you want to do that?
Or Wolfman Jack.
Oh, very comedic. Since we were pushing a book, I wanted to mention a book I just heard about by a favorite of mine, Marjorie Cohn. She's president of the National Lawyers Guild, who did great work up in the local Minnesota chapter, did great work in Minneapolis, getting as many people out of jail as quick as they could and stopping people, the gendarmerie, from doing all sorts of whack stuff. Rules of Disengagement, the Politics and Honor of Military Dissent. It's, I think it's approaches it from a historic way. And we talked earlier about the Vietnam War, and it's widely commented on that a large factor in the ending of the Vietnam War was basically a military internal revolt.
Yep.
And I don't know if you've seen Newsnight from the BBC, but you've been talking to vets, how dissolute and disgusted they are. They found some people that were still on active duty who were willing to go on the record and talk about how, you know, they're either incompetent that we're here, or they're still making a lot of money on this war, and things like that. So, well, I lean in and react to that.
You know, as a person who's been an activist the last 40 years, usually I'm dealing with people who are, you know, marginally psychotic and organizational Nazis.
Present company excluded, of course.
Oh, no, you're a journalist. Yeah, we don't have to, we're the media. And so you deal with like all this infighting, people saying you're a sexist pig, and so when I went to cover Winter Soldier, named after the testimonies of soldiers back during the Vietnam era, you know, Winter Soldiers who were there after Valley Forge, after everyone left, not Sunshine Patriots, and it was something that just stopped me in my tracks as a person, and especially as a journalist, because to hear these kids testify and get all dressed up and all well scrubbed, and you know, just feeling like that, you know, if they come clean with this and they approach the Congress as, you know, everything's going to be fine, the war's going to be over, and...
Did they have that kind of, I thought, did they really have that kind of belief, some of them, I guess, or many of them? That's
what I mean, they weren't arrogant like we were and angry like we were. They were just very, very determined, spit and polish, and I looked.
Well, I wish they were right, because it doesn't seem like it's
no, it's not. They're not right, but you can't go into it saying you're going to fail.
Yeah.
But you know, again, it was spit and polish, and they were came up to us as alternative media people and said how happy they were that we were there. Meanwhile, we looked like the janitors, and there's nothing bad about janitors, but we didn't, you know, we were just all scruffy and stuff, and been sleeping in the car to get to this thing, and testimony after testimony after testimony. The entire thing now is up online, and you can see the testimonies of the Iraqi soldiers. Then they went to the Hill to testify more, and now there's a book called Collateral Damage, more testimonies of soldiers. And so we live in an unprecedented time of people coming clean, where people from our generation couldn't talk about it for 30 years.
People are right away, ivaw.org for links to the Winter Soldier. I ran some of Pacifica's coverage of that, and what I did mostly was run some of the commentators that Pacifica had, and little segments of the testimony, and then a lot of people talking over it. So I don't know.
I'm laughing because I was there.
I like the pundits.
I was there at the Winter Soldier thing, and everybody has these like tripods that look like they could hold, you know, a howitzer or a Gatling gun, and they have all this equipment and stuff and all this stuff in their belt, and we pull up with our Kmart tripod and our video camera that my mom
got from Aldi's or something.
Yeah, that's it. It's just like consumer grade, and all the media people go, "Who are you?"
Well, what media people were at the Winter Soldier event? They certainly didn't cover it.
Only alternative.
Yeah, but they were
only alternative. Now listen, this is so weird. This guy walks up to us, and he's from Newsweek, and we said, "What are you doing?" And he's there. "I'm covering this." They said, "Don't you think your editor's going to get rid of it?" He goes, "No." And so we just thought he was in La La Land, and he was the only corporate media person there. And in Newsweek came his report about Winter Soldier, and it was very favorable.
Really? So there was at least one mention. Newsweek owned by the Washington Post.
Yep.
Washington Post covered it as a local item, if I recall. So they did have a story on it, but it wasn't in the national edition.
Now let's back up a little bit. They actually had at the press room or the press corps or whatever the thing is downtown in DC, they had every member of the straight media was there for their press conference for the Winter Soldiers, for the Iraqi veterans. Every one of them was there, and none of them reported it.
So who's surprised about that?
Oh, I don't know. Sometimes, you know, I don't mind a corporate media. I mean, sometimes you get tangled up with these alternative folk, and then they start telling you that if you're not, you know, if you don't like have Linux on your computer, that you're one of the unwashed.
No. Or the overly washed, perhaps.
Or I think underwashed for my generation.
I saw you had a link to Michael Moore's essay about his dismay at the media conference. We had a guy that convenes that. McChesney has got the chair here in Media Institute. Actually, well, anyway, that's internal politics at the U of I. But freepress.net, they do good work. I don't know. I understand his reaction. It's out of frustration that where are the real people, the ones that you saw that were demonstrating against the Vietnam War. If I sound like I'm hitting a cadence here, it's because I thought I'd take a musical break, and I'll get back with Vincent, Eirene.